A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Thursday edition of the show. I'm here, me, Adeba. Well, we're still in the mood of the World Cup. A lot of things happening thick and fast. The boys are getting separated from the men, and we're here to talk about all of it, all for you on the show tonight.
What a greetings to you wherever you are in the world watching us in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan. Yes, Yemi, I completely agree with you. We're beginning to see, teams that want to really advance at the World Cup round of 32 already shaping up. Can Africa give us, something to talk about in that round? I strongly believe that we could get about, 5 or 6. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. It's shaping up. It's shaping up to be like that. We might be able to get up to that number. We'll see how events unfold. The Ivorians step to the field. We'll see what happens with them as they get a chance to play maybe the weak side in the group, and hopefully they'll get the result. But let's quickly introduce our guest in the Lagos studio. Bolu Omode, he joins us now. Bolu, greetings to you. Thanks for finding time to be with us on the show.
Yeah, good to be here again. The hate watch for the final group game for Group A wasn't successful, but at least it's what we say about the sport. Shut people up on the field of play, do the job on the field of play, and the African teams are doing us proud. Ghana definitely will qualify with 4 points. If Bosnia in third qualify with 4 points, Ghana will. I hope Ivory Coast does later today as well. Morocco already in the round of 32. We are having teams progress. Yes, Tunisia out, but others, and it makes it even sadder that Nigeria are not in the tournament. Cabo Verde can qualify because they are playing Saudi Arabia. In fact, a draw may still take them through. That's how easy on paper it looks for them. So that's the beauty of Morocco. Remember, we said it before the tournament started, that no matter all the off-field shenanigans, when the games start, we will definitely focus on
everything subsides, yeah. And of course, it has happened. Now, all we're talking about is football. And so, before we go any further, let's sit back, pause, get into that segment where all we do is to talk about the World Cup. And of course, this is just to let you know that that segment is brought to you by Betano. All right, welcome back. Before we step on the gas so that we can have a full house as we discuss all matters relating to the World Cup, let me allow Austin do the honors in bringing our guest who will be joining us as we take a look at all of these issues.
It's all about the FIFA World Cup 2026, Yemi. So let's fasten our seatbelt as we go to Atlanta in the United States of America. International broadcast journalist Deji Omotoyibo joins us on the show. Deji, the last time you spoke to us, we were hopeful that some African countries can get us talking. Did they get you talking?
Well, definitely they did. Morocco qualified right here in Atlanta last night with that swashbuckling 4-2 victory over Haiti. We saw South Africa defy the odds to also qualify. And Cote d'Ivoire kicking off right about now. Cote d'Ivoire are likely to qualify with a draw or a win. So, like you guys said before the break, it's looking good. The African teams are doing very well. We might have 5, 6, probably 7 African teams going into the round of 32, and that will be very, very impressive.
Very, very impressive. South Africa really got us talking. How impressed are you with the Bafana team?
Well, I watched their game against the Czech Republic. And one thing with the South African team is that they're very well organized. They may not have much of a cutting edge, but they're very well organized. I thought South Korea would be able to break them down, but they were so well organized structurally, defensively, and they were also dangerous on the break. And eventually they got a goal. And, you know, if that game went on for another 20, 30 minutes, I don't think South Korea would have scored. So watching them against the Czech Republic, I watched that game live, they just needed a point to stay in contention, and they got that point because of a late penalty by Mokoena. So you have to say that Hugo Broos done a very, very good job tactically. And like I said earlier, I think last week on this show, what I like about the African teams is that they are now tactically up to par with the rest of the world. You know, there used to be a lot of tactical naivety by African teams in previous tournaments, but these days you are seeing African teams going toe-to-toe, tactically astute, aware, and very, very comfortable with their game plan and executing their game plans to excellent fruition. So congratulations, South Africa. I know some of you were hate watching, but sorry about that. South Africa are into the round of 32, although it doesn't get easier for them. I think they are playing Canada in the next round, so that'll be tough.
That will really, really be tough. But that's a game they can win. And Deji, since you've mentioned the hate watch, Bolu also talked about it, that some Nigerians were not successful with that. You know what? Coach Hugo Broos has been speaking. He said, we shut up the big mouths. Let's listen to him on the show tonight.
Of the performance of my team. And I think we gave an answer to all those big mouths of the last weeks that thought that we had to change something, that told us also what we had to do. We just did what we did. We just did what I wanted to do, and this is the result. I just know that the players will be ready and try to achieve the third round. It should be even more historical. Those players want to prove to everyone and to show that they are a good team. So we will see next Sunday. If we can go further, we will do it. Don't think that we now are going just another game and then a Monday or Tuesday take the flight to Joburg again.
You know, success is sweet, you know. Hugo Broos saying, Bolu, we told you guys. He's saying, you big mouth, shut up.
Well, that's the best thing, the way to shut people off, critics and everything. I've heard people talk about, they just said something about tactics. People think tactics is just to go all out, tiki-taka, so you can open up and consider loads of goals. I say it every time. I love Pep style, the tiki-taka, but there is no way to play football. Defending is a style. Low block is a style. Find what works for you. South Africa tried something differently in the opening match against Mexico. It didn't work out, but they went against South Korea. They know they cannot outpace them, but they found something that worked. At the end of the day, they won. The end justifies it. Means find a tactics that works for you. We saw Spain, we saw Portugal picked up over 70% possession in their games against Cape Verde and DRC, but they did not win. So who cares at the end of the day about possession? So you have to give credit to South Africa. Again, I was among those, I didn't want them to qualify, but it is not left for me to decide. It is for the opposition to try and knock them out in the tournament, but they did the needful. Picked up a late draw against Czechia, and in their final game against South Korea, picked up, they didn't even qualify as third best placed team. They qualified as second best team in that group. No matter how you look at it, you have to just give kudos to Hugo Broos and his boys.
Yeah, you have to. In spite of all everyone has said, a lot of people even said they don't deserve to be on this stage. They were naive and all that, but they showed grit, and of course they are into the next round. All right, let's take a look at the results. A quick reminder for our viewers of the results, and also we'll let you in on the teams that have made it to the next round. But here we have Group A. It was settled. South Africa defeated South Korea by a lone goal. On the strength of that, they're through to the next round. Czechia lost to host Mexico by 3 goals. In Group B, Switzerland defeated co-host Canada 2-1. Bosnia and Herzegovina, of course, they defeated Qatar, the whipping boy of the group, 3-1. In Group C, Morocco, some nervy moments in that game, but did all they needed to do. Defeated Haiti 4-2. And the Scots, for all the brawling, for all the fighting, still ended up losing to the Seleção, the Brazilian side, 3-0. Those are the results in the groups that have been concluded. All right, let's take a look at the tables now. And the tables show us what has really happened in every group that has played 3 matches. The top 2 qualify automatically. The teams that finishes in third will have to wait till the end of, probably to the end of the group phase of midpoint to know the ones that will go to the next round. So you have Mexico, South Africa, South Korea, and Czechia in that order. Top 2 qualify. Mexico co-hosts qualify. South Africa's Bafana with 4 points through to the next round. Let's go to the next group now. And in Group B, you can see what happened. Switzerland, Canada, Bosnia-Herzegovina, and Qatar. A lot of people still feeling that Bosnia might be able, with 4 points, should be able to get into the next round. But Switzerland and co-host Canada, of course, get into the next round on the strength of their performances. Switzerland with 7 points, Canada with 4, Bosnia also having 4, but the Canadians with a superior goal difference. Let's go to Group C and see what it's like. Of course, Brazil, as you would expect, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because it was a slugfest between Brazil and Morocco. Both teams ending up on 7 points, but of course Brazil scored more goals. Top 2 qualify, Brazil and Morocco into the next round. We'll see what happens with the Scots. Will 3 points be enough for them to get to the next round? We'll see what happens in that one. So there you have it, the groups that have been concluded. As we speak, the Ivorians are currently on the field slugging it out. We'll keep our eyes on that one. Of course, bring to you, be your eyes and your ears, and let you in on what is happening in that one. But I want to quickly go to DG and ask, you talked about African teams not being naive anymore. African teams somehow have been able to cut on that gap. I mean, some games used to be like a sure banker. You would expect us to come back with a trailer load of goals. It's not happening anymore. So what can you allude to be the reason why now African teams are focusing more on tactics, not on physicality or some of the things that could have been to their advantage?
Well, everybody's learning at a very fast pace. Maybe for African teams, maybe the diaspora possibilities, if I can use that phrase, the diaspora influence, let me put it better, is also helping African teams. Diaspora influence in the sense of some of the teams, a lot of the players play in the top leagues in the world, so they don't feel inferior to anybody they see out there on the pitch. And then the quality of coaching definitely has improved on the African continent. Look at Ghana. Ghana were leaking goals before this tournament, but look at what Carlos Queiroz has done. They've played 2 games. I don't think they've considered a goal. They are with 4 points. They're likely to qualify. And that's what he did within the space of 2-3 months that he's taken over. So it's very interesting in the sense that the talent is there when it comes to African football. You remember, go back to 1994, Super Eagles went out of that tournament due to naivety. Well, simple errors, simple mistakes that the Super Eagles made. If it was a more astute, a wiser team, we probably could have gone very deep into that tournament, and who knows. So, but I think all that has been removed now from African football. Everybody is now wiser. The teams are better. They are tactically very good, and the players are playing with the best in the world. So, I mean, there's no inferiority.
All right. Do you agree? Let me just throw this in before I yield to Austin. Probably wants to have a question or two. But there's this. It's not a debate, but a bit contentious. People saying, look, that we've not seen some of the top teams play to the levels we know they can. And this tournament has been a tournament where teams just seek ways to win rather than try to go all out and blow out teams, even though you could still argue that we've seen some high margin victories. So what do you think could be responsible for that?
When it comes to tournament football, it's 7 or 8 games if you want to win it. The tendency is that most teams try to pace themselves. You grow into the tournament. You don't want to find your best form in your first 2 games and then you lose form. You want to continue to get better. I think Brazil has done that. getting better game by game, so that you pick at the business end of the tournament. So a lot of teams will play to qualify in the first round, hoping that they will hit good form in the critical business end of the tournament. So that's the idea of teams. You don't want to hit your best form in the first 2 games and then you drop off. You want to get through the next stage, and then when you get to the knockout rounds, hopefully you find your best form for 3-4 games and you're world champion. So I think it's a way of, you need to pace yourself and grow into a tournament rather than go in all guns blazing and then you might drop off later on.
All right.
I completely agree, because we've seen it time and time again with tournament football. Spain showed us in 2010, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. Then they just kept on going like that. A quick update: the game between Curacao and Cote d'Ivoire, monitoring it, is Curacao 0, Cote d'Ivoire 1. Pepe in his 7th minute with that goal, and he's running goals also in the game between Ecuador and Germany. Leroy Sané with the opener in the 2nd minute. I mean, it was such a lovely quick goal. But Nielsen, remember him, Nielsen Angulo, he plays his football with Sunderland right here in England. He clapped back, so it's Ecuador 1, Germany 1.
Interesting. Bolu, I want to go to you quickly. Ecuador look like a team that could ruffle feathers. And whatever you want to say, the Germans know that they have to ensure that they're not finishing second in this group.
Definitely. Ecuador, Germany have qualified already, 6 points. Ecuador are one of the third-place teams, but they have 1 point. For every course of the game ends like this, automatically they will also qualify. Ecuador needs to win to get on 4 points and go above the likes of Scotland and the table. So it's a tough ask for them. I'm sure a team like Scotland will be praying. Team Germany today, because if you play your 3 matches, you have to be thinking of your opponent. Okay, let them drop points.
Those teams that will be
for the table for the third best place. We saw Ecuador against Curacao. They made the Curacao goalkeeper become the man with the most saves in 90 minutes at the world stage with 15. So they are not all that in this tournament. If you can struggle that much against Curacao, it's going to be tough for you against Germany. Germany,
you don't see them ruffling feathers.
Germany are one of those teams people kind of underrate, and they are going step by step. One thing is always important in tournaments. Not every time though, how you start. Then you build into tournaments. Then if you start well, playing against the middle in quotes, you grow. I don't think Ecuador will progress to the next round. The best I believe they can get against Germany is probably a draw. Like I said, Germany have qualified. They are more relaxed. They are not playing under any pressure. Ecuador on the other hand have to win to have a chance of qualifying. Germany know that if they draw, they will secure top spot, which is good for them.
And it's hard to see a possibility without the Germans finishing top. Because that would mean a disaster, maybe a very high margin loss. But then again, I still feel the Germans would not want to lose this game.
At all. So that's why I said the best I think Ecuador can get is a draw. Germany, no, play a draw, you have 7 points, nothing else. You're not thinking of calculating, okay, head to head, looking at goals difference. So Ecuador, just pick your 1 point from this tournament, making 2 at the end of the day. Then come and join some of us that are watching from. But Germany, again, they are being underrated in this tournament. I've seen people talk about their squad, no major top 9, no this and that. Again, tournaments like this, it used to be 7, now you have 8 games. If you plan your 8 games well, luck falls on your side, Germany may be another champion.
All right, I know there are a lot of high points and the focus has been on Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe, but I'd like to talk about Guillermo Ochoa. 6 World Cups, and the worry was whether or not he was going to play in this one, and you might count against him. But also, I don't know your thoughts. That's a record breaker right there, and it's somebody who will be talked about in terms of appearances, like Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. 6 World Cup appearances, and that's something to be proud of.
Absolutely, 40 years old, been there, done that, absolute legend. This is the sort of things we love talking about, the longevity, how much of an inspiration he has actually been to his country and to young persons. Also put Vasinga from Cape Verde into that conversation also. So yeah, I completely agree with you. He's already a legend. He's one that we will live to talk about. Unfortunately, maybe because he's a goalkeeper, they don't get to get those headlines the way a striker or a midfielder or an outfield player we get. But absolutely nothing can touch, the legendary, his legendary status right there. Adeji, what are some of the major behind the scenes that you've seen right there in Atlanta that you want to share with us?
Well, it's been the attendance. The attendance at games has been amazing. Every game I've been to had 68,000 fans in attendance. It's been, and the ticket costs are steep. So the attendance has been like 80-90% at every venue, and the fans, are truly, truly enjoying themselves. And well, I think the football has lived up to expectations. So there's been a lot of good football to enjoy. But the fans, the traveling, you saw the Scots yesterday, how they fill the city. The fans are absolutely having fun. They're enjoying themselves. The football has been good. The day Argentina played, I don't think you could find a number 10 Argentina jersey to buy. Ronaldo is trotting his stuff as well. All the big guns are coming to the party. And I think, there's always this too much talk. I really don't like the Ronaldo-Messi debate. Yeah. It puts me off. Because here we have two players who we should be, I don't see why fans of one want to put down the other. It's ridiculous. These are two icons we should be, quote unquote, worshipping for what they've done for world football for 20 years and counting, and still doing it at the top of their game in their late 30s and 40s. So all the rivalry, I don't think is necessary. We should just be grateful that we lived in a time when these two icons played football for all of us to enjoy, no matter what happens now.
I completely agree. I was so gutted when journalists at the mixed zone, they want to throw questions about Messi to Ronaldo. And, it's actually
totally unnecessary. It's totally unnecessary. You cannot put down one for the other. These two guys have elevated football to the levels we have never seen. And we should celebrate them together and not try to put one down for the other. It doesn't make sense to me.
I completely agree. Let's bring it back home, Bolu. Morocco. How are you of Morocco?
Morocco are not disappointing at all. I think the only person that didn't rate Morocco ahead of this tournament is probably not a football fan. Since they got to the semi-final of the last World Cup, it's been upward movement. There was a time they dropped out of the top 10 of the FIFA rankings when they made the draws. Almost the next rankings the following month, they got back to the top 10. We saw how they showed Brazil that, yes, we are Brazil, but we'll ruffle feathers with you. The next game they won, and they won against Haiti, considered equalized. Then boom, second half, they showed the difference between themselves. The only reason Brazil are ahead of them is because they scored more goals. These are the kind of things we expect from African champions.
All right. So we're going to talk more about the World Cup, but we need to go on a break right about now. When we return from that break, you'll still be with us. We'll still be talking about the World Cup and everything in between. Let's go on that break. We'll return for more Sports Tonight. Welcome back. We still have the Monitoibo with us. Of course, Bolu Omoni is with us. Right here in the Lagos studio. Let me quickly go to Deji and ask, now that you've seen everyone, at least you've seen two matches from each of the teams, I know it's a long shot, but which teams do you think might just be having their hands wrapped on the trophy at the end of it? But again, I know it's a long shot.
Yeah, it's still a long way to go. Okay, maybe I'll do three teams I feel are favorites and three teams I feel are outsiders. I still think the favorites will be France, so much firepower. Spain, very good tournament team. I didn't rate Argentina much before this tournament, but with what I've seen, they're a very good team with the sprinkling of stardust that Messi is as defending champions. It's virtually the same team that won the last time. They are very experienced. You have to put them in that equation. Maybe then the next three, I would say, I'll put Brazil as outsiders. I'll put Portugal in there as outsiders, and maybe England. But I think out of these 6 teams, if I'm allowed to go that broad, one of them will be world champions on July 19th.
All right. I guess that's a good place to leave it. Dr. Monto, we want to thank you for your time on the show today. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us. Hopefully we can do this again some other time.
Thank you for having me. Good night, guys.
All right, so we've come to the end of this segment brought to you by Betano. You see us on the other side. All right, welcome back. We're on the business end, and now let's talk about the fixtures. Let's talk about the fixtures all for you. Bolu, Group F, Japan and Sweden. Of course, I don't know if we're to say Friday or we're to say, but 12. Just when it strikes 12, know that Japan and Sweden, and of course Tunisia and Netherlands. For me, the game in this group will be the Blue Samurai and of course against the Swedes. Both sides look like decent teams, so I want to see if the Blue Samurai will be able to hold on to, because the draw suits them in this one. I don't know, I don't see Tunisia doing anything against the Netherlands, but of course football can teach me a lesson as it always does. All right, these are fixtures. Let's see if there are other fixtures to take a look at. This is Group F. Interesting times in Group F. All right. While we're waiting for that, Bolu, your thoughts on this one?
For Tunisia, they're already out of the tournament, so it's just to play for pride, get 1 point, or maybe score a few goals. At least they'll say you got to celebrate before you got eliminated from tournament. But the Japan-Sweden game, they met themselves twice. Sweden won the first in '97, just 1-0. The other one was, I think, 2002, where the game ended 1-0 between both of them. Japan, I love how they play so far in this tournament without fear. They know their strength. They know they can't compete with anyone in terms of height. So they put the ball on the ground, they possess well, and they are fast, they can run. Sweden, on the other hand, they have two of the best strikers in the Premier League, Ishak and Victor Gyökeres, and they use them well. So it's going to be a tough game. Sweden have 3 points. 1 point is enough to secure them either as first, second, or at least third place teams. And Japan know that they point to give them 5 points in that group, and they are through to the next one. So it's going to be an interesting match in this encounter. I think it's going to be maybe a win or lose or draw for Japan. I don't think Sweden will win, but Sweden needs to fight for at least a draw so they can secure their place in the round of 32.
All right, all right. We might just be going back to talk about the fans and the coaches, something about Morocco and Scotland, but we'll do that later. But let's get live updates from the man. Of course, special interest to us as Africans is what is happening with the Ivorians, because your smart money should be on the Ivorians advancing. It's against the whipping boys of the group. I don't see them taking anything less than 3 points. If they don't, it's going to be a disaster. So, Austin, you've been furiously refreshing your tablet and taking some sneak peek at the screen. So, what is the result?
Yeah, I have a TV right in front of me, and I have a tab here. The TV is showing me Curacao versus Côte d'Ivoire, and then the tab is showing me the match between Ecuador and Germany. It's still the same update. Curacao 0, Côte d'Ivoire 1. But these Ivorians, they've been wasteful here. I mean, I'm saying that, look, when you have an opportunity to play against a team like this and we'll get ready to get into the round of 30, to beat them silly, that's a strong message, because you are as good as your last match. But Côte d'Ivoire, I don't know, they got that early goal, 7th minute goal scored by Pepe, and they've been getting chances and they're not converting it. The same thing, the game between Germany and Ecuador. It was Leroy Sané that opened scoring for the Germans in the 2nd minute. That can you just start again, 1-2. Germany scored, but Nielsen Angulo said no way, clapped back for Ecuador. So as it is, in that group now, Germany tops with 7 points, Côte d'Ivoire with 6 points. That keeps them safe if it ends this way, while Ecuador is with 2 points and Curacao with just 1 point. Live updates coming from the FIFA World Cup 2026. It's all about goals right there at the World Cup. Let's talk about Morocco. So I know a lot of persons didn't like what happened at AFCON 2025, particularly the final match
between Morocco and Senegal. But Yemi and Bolu, let's be sincere. Morocco is a clear testament of it is what you sow, you reap. And you can tell with their football, you know, they've done so well. They've now qualified. Look at that first game against Brazil. Nobody can come here and tell me Brazil bossed that game. Morocco went to them offensively. They were sound. You know, when Coach Walid was leaving, he said if he had taken Morocco to the semifinals of the World Cup in Qatar, that he should be winning the AFCON. That if he doesn't, he bowed. He bowed out, and then they brought a coach that has been with the age grade, and he knows the team so well, and we're seeing quality football. So shout out to Morocco. Their fans, they've been over the moon after the team qualified to the round of 32. Let's listen to them.
Hakimi is one of the best players in the world, so maybe one of the best in his position, like on a side, on the right side, and he's our captain as well. So yeah, we're rooting for Hakimi. So if we go the furthest possible, maybe Hakimi for the Ballon d'Or. Who knows? Yeah, we are still like motivated, and let's go Morocco!
The game was wonderful. At the beginning, it was not that great. We almost had that attack. We almost left. We will not continue watching. Then this started boom, 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 boom. Now we're happy. It's good. We're happy. As you see, enjoy with us. It's always nice to celebrate, to gather all the Moroccans. We see them once in a while. This is our opportunity just to gather. We celebrate.
See how it is. It's crazy. We knew we could have beat them, so it's nothing new. Nothing new. So next we got Brazil. We got them.
Yeah, Moroccan fans, you know, viva Morocco. You know, Yemi, I love the story, and as I said, I hate Morocco or love them. They have done well for their football, and you can clearly see that the investment that they put in their football for over 10 years is now reaping fruits.
You can do only one thing, and that's to admire them. And guess what?
Right.
They are already planning for 2030. The appointment of this coach is not necessarily for this competition. This coach is going to grow with that World Cup winning on the 20 side, and you could see the transition. Some of the old guys, the old guard that we're used to, some of them, they're gradually leaving the scene, which is the way it should go, because they know some of these guys will not be around by the time in 4 years' time, and it shows with that smooth transition, no noise, nothing. One guy steps out, another comes in, smooth. You see, but you might argue about. You might dislike their antics. I don't like the antics of the average not African. But they are, in terms of planning, they are miles ahead. You know, even the South Africa that we praise, these guys are miles ahead. When they kept on hosting all these tournaments, they come to our country. We thought they were Father Christmas. We thought they didn't know what they're doing. It's a clear testament now. And now they don't need to be Father Christmas. They have the World Cup in the bag already. And so organizationally, they are sound. And while they were doing that, they were also building.
There's something called intentionality. I saw a documentary, and someone literally says, the reason we built this is not money. Anybody can have money, but it is vision that gets you these things done. And mix vision with finance together, everything works out well. Morocco said it point blank that they want to host the World Cup alone, and every nation that will qualify will train at different venues. A few years ago, they invited media guys, come and check our facilities, and everyone who went, they were all wow that these guys are really prepared. Intentionality, you cannot take it away from them. You said something about them preparing ahead for 2030. Morocco qualified for Qatar World Cup. They finished 4th. Now they are in the knockout phase for this one. They are thinking about 2030. Well, Super Eagles, catch yourself from there. So you cannot take away proper planning. You may, like you said, you may or may not like. That's why I was angry at all those antics of taking towel. I said, you guys play the best brand of football in Africa. You do not need all these things to win games. And it shows. And one key thing that you said earlier on was, all the players on the African scene play abroad. Yeah. They play in the Premier League, the La Liga, they play with the best boys. Gone are the days where in a squad of maybe 23 in Africa, maybe only 3, 4, 5 of them play with elite teams. So the aura of, okay, this is Ronaldo, but now, I'm not saying Ronaldo, because when Ronaldo meets in the Champions League, I play with Messi in La Liga, we face each other, so we have grown, we are growing. But believe me, as of now, Morocco is not anybody's mate on the African scene.
Yeah.
That's what we all need to look at. Emulate. What are these? I've said it a million times. If you see a team, a country, a nation that things are working well, it is not pride. Ask questions. How are they doing? If you can't ask questions, study them. There's no crime if all, at least, top 5 top teams in Africa are doing what Morocco are doing. Who says we can't battle it out with some of the best teams in the world?
We'll say so. All right. Hopefully, we'll get the job done. Hopefully, an African team will surpass the achievements of the last time, which was getting into the semi-final. And of course, that brings us to the end of the conversation around the FIFA World Cup. All right, of course, with the remaining minutes we have on the show, we'll talk athletics on the show. And in focus is Nigeria's preparation for the Commonwealth Games to be held in Glasgow. And also, let me come to you quickly and very sure things heating up from where you are. But our focus definitely will be on Nigeria. 29 athletes. We'll take a look at the composition of the athletes shortly. But 29 athletes going for this. You were at the last one, and
yeah.
I'm tempted to ask you, are the signs different?
Nah. I remember the last one, Yemi. All the gold medals were from our female athletes. Can you remember? You know, and I haven't really seen much. Yes, the male athletes are doing well in the United States and, you know, running, but I haven't seen any strategic programs that we've done to say, okay, these are the lessons from Birmingham that we're taking to, you know, this competition in Glasgow. It's a scaled down event, but for Nigeria, we can actually use it to see how ready we are for Los Angeles 2028, you know, but yeah, if it's that I've seen anything different, no. We're just so big on bringing on competitions. And it's competitions, so let's just go and do it. There's still the problem of favor of Philly that we haven't handled properly. I think there was a time, it was in the media that, oh, we included favor of Philly, and people in our camp came out roaring that, no, we don't have anything to do with Nigeria. Favor of Philly hasn't been invited. All of those things, I mean, we've always said it, that when there's a problem, if you do not solve it, it will remain a problem. So it's the Commonwealth Games. We always, you know, some way know how to go there and do well. But I just don't want us to keep seeing it as well. If we go and we win medals, we think everything is fine. Didn't we win medals at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham in 2022? We did. We won medals. This is 2026. And I'm struggling to come out and say that these are step-by-step plans that we've done for athletics development in Nigeria, that now that we are going to these Commonwealth Games, we should start seeing results. It will still be the big names. Toby Amuson, Chukwuebuka Enekweche. You know, what are the clear... Look at Kebinashipi of Botswana.
Okay, let me tell you one thing that we have done. Might not be big to you. We've been able to unearth diaspora talents, because that's the only thing we're doing. And that's the story across all sports. I mean, Deji just said it now. And Bolu, I want to ask you, Austin has said it. We might go there, yeah, might win a few medals. That does not mean we're doing the right thing. Everything as home is practically dead. And this is not intended to probably cast aspersion on anybody, but it is what it is. That's the reality. You cannot keep saying that things are going on well because you have a couple of athletes that have been developing other clients that you could claim because they have Nigerian blood and they're doing well and you're claiming it as your success. He said, no.
Well, there's this general saying in sports that if all is not well at home, it's always difficult for you to grow in that sport, and you cannot take anything away from that phrase. Remember the young, I think 15-year-old girl that represented Nigeria swimming at the last Olympic Games? Where is she? We don't know anything about her. Then boom, when it's time for Olympics again, she'll be 19 by then. Oh, young Nigerian teenager, she's representing us and all. The truth is, we have to go home. Look at Temitope Adesina. When I was surprised her name was even because initially she said she doesn't think she wants to compete after NCAA. Then everyone, no, what's wrong with you? You have to compete for Nigeria. You are Nigerian, yes, but she went through everything alone in diaspora, and she felt she needed to rest, but I'm sure there would have been some cajoling talking to her. I have no problem going. I really wanted her to go, at least win for Nigeria, win for yourself. But again, there has to be, this competition of when these diaspora athletes come home and they fight hard to qualify. Not that when one guy in USA comes, he wins in a landslide. Let him compete so much with those in Nigeria that we can say we are doing well. Competition is good. Winning is great. Winning well is always beautiful. But what next? What happens to those in Nigeria that do not have what it takes to go abroad? Those in Nigeria that are not elite athletes, how do we groom those ones? That's why sometimes when the diaspora athletes, for whatever reason, they mess up or mess us up, we struggle to get back up because we don't even have any backup plan.
To answer your question, Bolu, what happens to young boy, young girl in Nigeria? They are not in the plans. That's as blunt as it is. That's what it is. All right, let's look at the 29 invited athletes, the composition, the events they will be participating in. There you have it on your screen. For the sprints, 100 meters, 200, 4x100 meter relay, you have Ajayi Akintola, Alaba, Ashe Favor, Ezeako, Chidera, Fakorede, Adikalu, Okon Israel, Onwuzurike, Udodi. These are the guys that will be doing the 100, 200, 400, quarter mile, 400, and the mixed 4x400 relay. You have Ogazi, Samuel, Udo, Didion, Tyler Johnson, Nathaniel Ezekiel for the 400-meter hurdles. Let's also look at the field events. For the field events, you have some of these athletes that you will be seeing. Enekwechi Chukwuebuka for the shot put. You have Nandi Chinechere for javelin, and Sholta Jami for the decathlon. That's a good one for the decathlon. So you also have Ogudoro Blessing, Chukuma Rosemary, God Bless Tima as a Chuku Miracle, Olajide Olayinka, and Chukwuka Obi, and of course Amuson Toby for the 100 meters hurdles. Women, that's Nigeria's composition. Then you have this one as well, Patience Okon George, Onoju Vevo Ella, Oya Favor, and of course Joseph Esther, of course the quartet for the mixed relay. You have additional Temitope, Ese Brume, Oji Jessica, and Olatoye Oyeshade, the hammer throw lady, of course very popular, the hammer throw lady. You have Oji Jessica for shot put, you have Ese Brume for long jump, additional Temitope for high jump. All right, Bolu, your thoughts? Well, I don't know, should I say expectations? But I know they will do well, but the worry is still what's happening here at home.
I like some names I saw there. Expectation there, it's always to win, especially for the ladies. They're always making us proud. And then Kuche would always be among maybe top 5, top 10. But unfortunately, I still not broke into the elite for the global stage. We know he has conquered Africa. I saw Patience Okon George even at 34. She still won the national trials. I saw Favor Ashe still doing sub 10, his personal best. In fact, the top 2 at the national trials did sub 10, which is good news for them. Some of the names I saw on the list, I'm excited. The decathlon athlete, Jami, obviously foreign born. But I just wish we have more. I wish we are competing in more events. I wish we have even more athletes.
I wish we were discovering more athletes.
But whichever way, I hope these guys, they are finding ways to mentor the younger ones. Not them now. Nigeria itself having a plan, but for the Commonwealth Games, I hope they come back home, do better than they did in Birmingham. But again, even if they don't, we still love you guys who are Nigerians. I'm 100% supporting the athletes. 29 of them, hopefully at least 20 of them come home with different medals.
All right, let's do it this way. Our parting shot. Also, let's imagine the people in charge, you have their ears, you are just one dial away from the people that can take decisions. What would you say if you have a chance to get a 3-minute, 2-minute conversation?
I said, look inwards. I've always been telling them, I said, look inwards. The NFF, that's the same thing I say to them, that When we won the AFCON in 1980, how many foreign bonds did we have there? No disrespect to whoever wants to represent Nigeria. But when we won the AFCON in 1994, how many foreigners did you have in there? Even 2013, how many foreigners did you have in there? But we stopped looking inwards now, and we just want to go to where they are ready-made, you know. For athletics, the last National Sports Festival, when they did the IJA concept, they invited junior athletes. I said to Bukola Olopade, let's have a long-term plan for this team. We should be seeing some of them going out there now to represent the motherland, but because we are big on win, so then we go chase presidential handshakes, and then after you win, what's next? What's the program in place for longevity? You know, we're celebrating Alex Iwobi today. Is it because of our work? No, because of the work that is there in Europe, that the man is just 30 and has played 100 games. Back in the days, how many people could even play 80, 90? Even his uncle Okocha, how many did he play? It tells you that there's a fundamental problem, and the only way to solve it is to look inwards. That's the show in London. I'm Austin Okonakwa, and in everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
It's a wrap here as well, but before we go, I want to thank Bolu Omoni for his time on the show today.
Yeah, so it's a pleasure coming on, and I hope African teams continue to make us proud and the Mundial.
I hope so too. All right, that's the show today. It's a wrap, and we hope that you've enjoyed everything we've been able to bring to you. One more edition before the week runs out, and that will be tomorrow. Till then, enjoy your day. We'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.